Hi, and welcome back to Between the Benches, your go-to place for all hockey news. So, we got another fun draft video today. We're going to be looking at top 15 prospects and comparing them to NHL players. I know that's not really a popular thing to do. It's kind of becoming looked down upon in the prospect community, but I think it's very helpful for a lot of people who don't watch these prospects and kind of want a quick, comparison. When you say things like 200-foot game, offensive dynamo, yeah, that paints a picture, but it's a very broad terms, and this kind of gives them an instant comparison. And in the future, when these players develop their own skills, they'll see the growth, right? So it's something fun. I thought it'd be interesting to do just to help you guys really envision these prospects moving to the draft. And then we're going to give each one a team that I think could really use a guy like that, and even show more how they would fit into a system. So number 15, we got Dawson Mercer, and I compared him to Mark Stone. Just like Mark Stone, great engine, hard skating guy, super hard worker. I don't think he, has the best skating just like Mark Stone, but he has the work ethic like Stone did in junior, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player. Any club could really use a guy like Dawson Mercer who has that strong, hard-working ethic, but I think the team that I'd give him to is the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames is a bit weak on the right side, and there's always been reports, there's a bit of a locker room issue, and I don't want to get into gossip or any of that, but having a guy who can work this hard, who can drive a line with Gaudreau, I think he'd be a fantastic guy to add to that locker room and really solidify that right side. Coming in at number 14, we have Dylan Holloway, and I compared him to Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson, prototypical power forward. He can hit, he can fight, he can score, he can get assists. Holloway's the same. He's a bit small, he's like around 6'1" for a power forward, but he can really play the body. He can score goals. He's getting his offense back, and I think that he really adds a lot to any team he's going to go to. I could have compared him to Tom Wilson, but I didn't feel, he's not as dirty as Tom Wilson. He's a bit more clean, but other than that, he's a fantastic winger. A team I can see taking him is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Leafs would love to have a guy who can play tough, really help, bang in those goals. They need a guy in the crease banging in goals. Nylander does that great, but if you could have Nylander on one line and you can put Holloway on the other line, those are the two best lines in hockey. It's going to be unreal for the Toronto Maple Leafs if they can make that happen. Coming in at number 13, we got Quinn compared to Pacioretty. Same kind of goal-scoring technique, They're not super crazy with their shot. They're not super flashy, but they score goals constantly. Quinn scoring 52, obviously. And so having that, a fantastic goal-scoring ability, constantly, being able to snipe Genos wherever you are, that's such a useful talent. I think any NHL team will have to have a guy like Jack Quinn. But the one team I'd put him for would be the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks don't really have, this bona fide sniper in their prospect system. They got guys like Zegras, Steele, Comtois, and they're all really good players, but to have a guy who can just anytime put in a puck in the net, playing a long steal, I think that'd be huge for them. They would love to have a guy like that. Coming in at number 12, Radin Amirov and his countryman Panarin. So they're very similar. They both play left wing, both super speedy, can snipe goals, get nice assists, got shifty hands, and you watch they do those things in the offensive end, those big loops, and then they cut back in to the defenseman. They love to do tricky things like that. Radin Amirov is very similar to Panarin, very shifty. I love watching him play. A team that would love to have him would be Florida. They might be losing Hoffman, Dadonov on the wings, so to add a guy like Amirov, who's very similar to those two, be fantastic. And then you got Huberdeau with them, so they got that great depth as well. A lot of these guys will fit into any team. We're just going over ones I think they'd fit the best into, but again, any NHL team would love to have any of these kids. Coming in at number 11, we got Sanderson. I'm comparing him to Ryan Suter. They're very similar defensively. They play really strong, both American-born. They control the gap really well in the neutral zone. A lot of comparisons to Seth Jones have been made. I don't see that. I don't really, agree with those super high expectations of him. But if he can play like Ryan Suter defensively, put up those great numbers defensively, I think he's going to be a fantastic player. And again, he's just really smart defensively in how he does everything. Vancouver Canucks scream to me that adding a Sanderson type player, if you can put him with Quinn Hughes, that's the best pairing in the league. You got that great offense, that smart player, and you got that strong, stable, stay-at-home defenseman, and they'll just feed off each other perfectly. It'll let Quinn Hughes go on rushes more, It'll let Sanderson be more confident in his play. Jim Benning doesn't have a first-round pick this year, but it's Jim Benning, so who knows what he's going to do. Maybe he tries to get Sanderson. Maybe he tries to get any of these guys at a random place. It's always fun to watch what Jim Benning's going to do. Coming in at number 10, Yaroslav Askarov to Officer Bobrovsky. Very similar in play. It's hard to compare goalies because they're always changing and all over the place, but I just see a lot in their similarities and how they can be calm and composed, and then also when it gets to the jumps and the crazy moves, Askarov can also do plays like that. Again, really hard to compare goalies, but Askarov is such a, move here, move there, all over the place type of goalie that he's just very much like Bobrovsky. And again, I know I sound like I'm running out of words, but goalies are very hard to define, especially when they make it to the NHL and they start facing NHL quality shots where, they're a lot harder, a lot faster than they're normally expected. A team that I could see taking Askarov is the Vegas Golden Knights. While they do have Lehner and Fleury, two fantastic goalies, they don't really have any goalies in their prospect system. And both Fleury and Lehner are on the older side. So, 2 to 3 years from now when Askarov starts coming in young, ready, and he can learn from them, be a backup for a few years, and it would just be a great transition. And no other organization is better at winning than Vegas, so of course they'll win in the draft table too. Coming in at number 9, Antoine Lundell, Ryan O'Reilly. Very similar two-way centers, very good defensively. I could have picked a myriad of two-way centers, but the reason why I picked O'Reilly was for a long time in his draft and moving forward, O'Reilly didn't really have that super high offensive capabilities like a Bergeron did. And then, in Buffalo, he didn't really have all that. And then he gets to St. Louis and he finally starts to put up numbers and scoring a lot and becomes that number one center. And I really think Lundell fits that mold. He's a very strong, candidate for, not putting up a ton of points, but then being really good defensively and then starting to as his career gets along. And I just see that similarity. The team that I would think that's going to take Lundell, Winnipeg Jets for sure. They need a second line center. Super good, super fast, can keep up with his guys, plays good defensively. He would just fit there. They love their Finns in Winnipeg, and I think having him behind Scheifele would be fantastic for Lundell to learn. Going in at number 8, Marco Rossi to Brad Marchand. Biggest asterisk there because he plays like so many guys, and Marchand is a very unique type of guy. But the reason why I put Marchand, they're both fast, they're both on the smaller side, but they play tough on the puck, physical, defensive, offensive. I feel like besides the grittier play that Rossi may not possess, that hard to knock off that puck, the playing in both ends of the ice, Rossi really shares that same similarity. He drives play extremely well. He's a very smart player. I think the kind of team that would love to have Rossi are the New York Islanders. He fits their system really well. He fits their type of play that they want to have going forward. He'd be a great complement piece to Barzal. You could throw him on the wing with Barzal too, and he would turn even more into a Marchand playing left wing there. But yeah, Marco Rossi, fantastic. He wants to play in the NHL next year. He's going to go anywhere, be great. But yeah, I see the Islanders taking a guy like him. Number 7, Cole Perfetti. Very similar to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Kind of the same high IQ, smart, shifty, goal-scoring guy. Not crazy physical, not crazy defensively, but really smart on the offensive end. Them and Junior are very similar. Will he be a second-line center? Will he be a first-line center? That's yet to be seen. We're not really sure going forward, but his Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a great comparison. A team that could use him, a lot of guys could really use a strong center like this, but I think a Carolina would be a really good fit. I know they have Nikish and they have Sebastian Aho, but Perfetti's just like that smart, shifty, young player. I think he'd fit in great in that young group of guys. You can put him in center, you could throw him on the wing. A lot of these guys, can play in a lot of positions, and I think Perfetti would really fit the atmosphere that the Carolina Hurricanes have. And again, to preface again, I'm not saying these guys are going to go there. A lot of these guys don't even have first-round picks, just giving you an idea of what sort of system they fit in, what teams would love to have. Coming in at number 6, Jamie Drysdale, Duncan Keith. Very similar, strong defensively, good offensively, great, well-rounded defenseman. Drysdale's got a bit of work to do in his own end, but he's great on the offense. He's a very young, smart defenseman. He's the number 1 on this draft. He's going to be fantastic. A team I could see loving to have him, the LA Kings. They're really short on the blue end. They could really use a young, good blue liner, Duncan Keith would love to mentor a young Ontario boy. I think they would complement each other perfectly, and it'd be like a passing of the torch to the next generation. Coming in at number 5, Alexander Holtz, Pasternak. So there are very few goal scorers like Holtz in their draft. He's a very great shot, smart at what he does. And I think Pasternak's very similar, and I think Holtz is also going to slide a bit like Pasternak did. Maybe not as far, but yeah, it's just the same goal-scoring talent. Can snipe the puck anywhere, and I think any team would love to have an Alexander Holtz-type player, just like a guy who can always consistently put the puck in, can rip shots from anywhere. A team that would love to have Holtz would be the Arizona Coyotes. They don't really have any good goal scorers like Holtz. They brought in Phil Kessel to be that, but he hasn't really shown that. But you put Holtz with Clayton Keller, I think he's going to snipe some Genos. I know they don't have their first round pick this year, but maybe they're going to make some moves. Their owner really wants to shake things up. Their new GM Armstrong's very well known for all of that, so let's see. Holtz is going to be pretty fantastic. I think he'll fit the Coyotes quite well. Number 4, Lucas Raymond, Mitch Marner, speedy, not too big, very smart, very shifty, great offensive, flashy, fun to watch. All these terms you can say. I'm talking about Marner, I'm talking about Raymond. Very similar play, fantastic, super fun to watch, very exciting. Can go anywhere, but the place that I could see Lucas Raymond fitting the best into, I would say the Buffalo Sabres. They really need that fast, shifty guy, play the wings, exciting. Jack Eichel needs somebody. He's just drowning there. So I think you throw Lucas Raymond in the wing there, and it'll just be such an exciting duo like Marner is with Matthews. Number 3, Tim Stützle, and is a lot like Giroux. Can play left wing, can play center. Great shot, great pass, just great all around. Very underrated, not talked about much, but a fantastic player nonetheless. Fun to watch, fun to just view and see how he plays, and has played against men, very solid. And I think he's going to make a jump just like Giroux did and even develop more. A team that I can see that could use a guy like that, the San Jose Sharks. They're doing their rebuild. They have Timo Meier, and I think if you added another piece like Stützle, that's a really fast, young defensive, offensive core, and they're just going to be a great time to watch. Coming in at number 2, Quinton Byfield. Quinton Byfield, huge center, just like Malkin. Very good offensively, good skater. Better skater than Malkin, actually, so that's why everyone's so excited about him. Without a doubt, every team in the NHL would want him. Minnesota would want him. Calgary, Edmonton, Nashville. He's just so big, strong, skilled. But the team that I have wanting him the most would be the Ottawa Senators. If you can put Quinton Byfield beside Brady Tkachuk, one of the best lines in the NHL by far, so strong, so physically demanding, and it would just be amazing to see those two play together. It'd be a terror for every other NHL team. And yeah, I could really see them making a big push to get Quinton Byfield. And number 1, best player in the draft, Alexis Lafreniere and Jonathan Huberdeau if Huberdeau was mean. They're very similar in how they play, both flashy left wingers, super quick, super speedy. Alexis Lafreniere is a lot more physical in the tougher areas, but man, they're so similar in their skill play. Both from Quebec, amazing left wingers. Anyone wants Lafreniere. Any team would be dying to have Lafreniere, but the team that I would select, Montreal. I would just love to see Montreal have a great French player. In my lifetime, I know back in the day that was a huge thing. Every great French player played for Montreal, but Jonathan Drouin isn't really cutting it. And if you had to Lafreniere, man, would that be beautiful. Let the boy go home. And yeah, that's all for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit like and subscribe. And stay tuned as we do more mock drafts and get ready for free agency. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend.